Correctly, I did a whole video on Father Leo Booth, and so essentially Leo Booth got involved in AA when he became an alcoholic as an Anglican priest, and he realized that people that are involved in Alcoholics Anonymous are addicted to religion, and then he started to treat religious addiction. Now this is about these are various articles of his. Let's see, here's some books, different books. These are not his books, unfortunately. Where the heck? His most popular book, and the one that I read, was When God Becomes a Drug. It is an excellent book, and I highly suggest people read When God Becomes a Drug. Let's see here. Videos. Doesn't have a video of him. This may not be his website, I don't know. But here, let me go back to the let's see here. So here Father Leo Booth explains the concept of religious addiction. I strongly recommend people pay attention, because I do believe that the majority of people involved in Satanism are addicted to religion, okay? And they might deny that, and that's fine, but I'm just going to play this here.
Well, I've always been somebody who's been willing to go pretty far out to make a case, and I don't know about you, Dwayne, but I don't think I could think of anything more, if you like, far out than what happened in the Jim Jones massacre. True. I mean, if addiction is a stronger word than obsession, then I think addiction is appropriate for what happened in the Jim Jones massacre in Waco, and some of the abuses with the PTL, or the TV evangelist scandals of Jimmy Swaggart. I mean, when a person is willing to let their children sleep with the minister, or when somebody's willing to sit and poison their children, I would have thought addiction is really the word. I mean, that's addiction. And as you're familiar with, it was said that religion can be the opiate of the people. And I think that what's implied by that is that if religion is used to control, if religion stops you thinking, if people are not allowed to discover a spirituality that makes sense for them, then I would criticize any organization or religion that perpetrated that abuse. So I think that religious addiction is really very appropriate. And I also think that because so many of your listeners are familiar with drug addiction and growing up in an alcoholic home, or codependency and adult children issues that's out there in the self-help movement, maybe people need to understand about the dangers of a childhood whereby religion and God was scary and frightening and judgmental, and really whether it helped you on your spiritual journey. Because this book, as you rightly say, is about discovering a healthy spirituality. But sometimes in order to discover a healthy spirituality, you've got to let go of some of the old attitudes, old beliefs, old stereotypes of what God or even a priest or minister really is about.
Mm-hmm. But some people, and right now I'm thinking more along the lines of evangelical Christians,
yes,
would look upon this book and would look at some of the things that you mention are unhealthy beliefs.
Yeah.
For instance, belief that sex is bad or our body is bad, or some of the rules that we may see in the Bible.
Now you have to consider with religious addiction in the form of Satanism, a lot of this has been taken into the reverse. Remember, as I said, Satanism promotes indulgence over compulsion. And you have to look at what's going on, and are people expressing compulsion over indulgence? I think you'll see that the Satanic Temple promotes compulsion over indulgence.
And they might think, well, you might think that that's unhealthy, but no matter how you slice it, this is what the Bible says. And when they see a book like this coming out, addressing their beliefs in terms of religious addiction, they might look upon it as if it's some sort of an inquisition, so to speak, against them.
Well, I mean, I think that on some level, it is a criticism of fundamentalist religion. So I don't make no bones about that. I think that within the Christian church, you've got conservatives, traditionalists, liberals, and I think that you're living in cloud cuckoo land if you don't realize that. I think that the mistake very often is when people say the Bible says, almost as if the Bible is a single book. The Bible isn't a single book. The Bible is a collection of books, and written at different times. Mm-hmm. And if you make the mistake and you think that it's almost written by one author all the way through with a common theme, you're going to miss the whole richness of that compilation that's called the Bible. So with Jesus and with the teachings, you're going to find that they're open to interpretation. An obvious example is, thou art Peter, and on this rock I will build my church. Now the Roman Catholics, which is the biggest Christian church in the world, interprets the rock to be Peter, the man. So the apostolic succession is based around the man, Peter. Mm-hmm. All the Protestants and evangelicals interpret the rock to be the rock of faith that Peter uttered, thou art the Christ. So it seems to me that you've got there the same text, but obvious difference of interpretation. And again, for the viewers, I think that, I'm obviously I'm an Episcopal priest. I have a church in Hawthorne. It's open to Episcopalians and to recovering people from alcoholism, drug addiction who come. There are gay and lesbian people there. There are people from other religious denominations who come to the church. So it's a very kind of, if you like, diverse church. And I don't stand there expecting everybody in my church to believe what I believe. Some of them have different views. Some of them are more conservative than me. Some of them are more liberal than I am.
And this is the problem that you have when you become fundamentalist in your views, when you can't understand that different people have different beliefs, and that's okay. And that's where a lot of Satanists that really take themselves far too serious are coming from. They believe that their beliefs are the only beliefs that exist, and that their view is the only view that exists, and that anybody that exists outside that view is disturbed or wrong or in some way needs to be eliminated. And I think that's the problem you have. I think you will, if you look at what I'm saying and what this gentleman's saying, I would say that the average Satanist that's a serious Satanist is addicted to religion. They're addicted to religion. Their religion of Satanism is something that gives their lives purpose. Satanism defines them. They do not define their belief. So their belief defines them. They do not define their belief.
My point with this book is that the worst kind of addiction is when you're looking to God to fix you, change you, get you a job, make you happy, keep you healthy. What's the point in praying for God to keep you healthy if you have a lot of unhealthy habits? If you eat badly, if you smoke, if you drink too much, all the prayers in the world can't stop you taking care of your body. Mm-hmm. And if you want somebody to love you and you want a relationship in your life, and you're praying to Jesus for a relationship, but you don't go out, you don't dance, you don't telephone people, you don't make any way of a relationship, then of course you're going to be a lonely person. So it seems to me that religious addiction is when you use religion to escape from the world or to fix you in your life. And a lot of
Now keep in mind what he just said there.
lonely, miserable people, a lonely person. So it seems to me that religious addiction is when you use religion to escape from the world or to fix you in your life. Religious addiction is when you use religion to escape from the world or to fix you in your life. Religious addiction is when you use religion to escape from the world or to fix you in your life. And a lot of lonely, miserable people use religion, and they hide behind religion. In fact, they've been called church mice.
And if you look at a lot of Satanists hide behind their religion, and they use their religion as a means to try and push a political agenda and to give their lives purpose. Well, if your life doesn't have any purpose, religion is not really going to give your life purpose. Okay? It'll give your life superficial purpose, an external purpose, but it's not an internal purpose. You're not seeking a true purpose, your true reason for living. It's an external purpose.
You hit upon something very interesting when you
It's someone else's purpose.
talked about your church at Hawthorne, about how you're not asking all the people there to believe as you believe or go out and maybe vote as you vote or however you want to put this. And that's certainly a far cry from the fundamentalist churches that I have experienced, where for one thing, you brought out the great fundamentalist imagery of God speaking over the shoulders of the men as they're writing the Bible and that sort of thing. And you constantly hear the scriptures is of no private interpretation, which is basically, no matter how you slice it, means believe my interpretation.
But it's poppycock. It's
Exactly.
poppycock. It's not, anybody with any sense, it's obvious poppycock. There's so many different evangelical churches. See, a lot of people think, there's a Protestant evangelical position. There isn't. There are different Baptists. I could take you to a church in North Carolina, which is Baptist, that is very liberal. I could show you Pentecostal churches that are traditional. The idea that the evangelicals speak with one voice is not true. There are liberal Baptists and there are conservative Baptists. The problem with some of these people that I think you may be talking about is that they've kind of captured the media, and so people think that, that these people speak for all evangelicals or all Protestants. It's just not true.
Or all Satanists.
Same with Catholics. There are liberal Catholics. There are traditional Catholics. There are Catholics that are ecumenical, who want to have relationships with Lutherans and Episcopalians and Methodists, and there are some Catholics who really don't want to mix with anybody, really believe that heaven is full of Catholics. Just like Muslims think that heaven is full of Muslims, and perhaps some Jews think that heaven is full of Jews. It's nonsense, you see. And the sadness for me is that there are not more shows like this one, because the only kind of TV, religious TV we get are these people who are doing these, religious services, and usually the women have strange hairstyles and they're asking for money, or they sing songs to you.
Similar to how the Satanic Temple crowdfunds, dresses in bondage gear, and performs self-flagellation. It's just televangelism to a higher degree in a more modern form. Remember, one of the satanic sins is the forgetfulness of past orthodoxies.
Then ask you for money. You either get a prayer, then the money, or a song, and then the money. But the one consistent thing is they want money.
Exactly.
And my thing with it is, Shadowlands, the movie with the English actor Anthony Hopkins, is about C.S. Lewis, who wrote The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and a lot of very good books on suffering and joy and everything. He was a great thinker, a great debater. I think it's sad that we don't have more discussions, more good religious TV. Because, I'm not against religion. I'm against unhealthy religion. That's the difference.
And that's my view. I'm not against Satanism. If Satanism's working for you, stick with it. Satanism didn't work for me. Satanism doesn't work for many other people. And that's the point there.
I'm against unhealthy religion. That's the difference. See, I'm not against religion. Some people say, oh, maybe Father Leo's against religion and he's in favor of spirituality. No, I'm in favor of a religion that is spiritual, you see. Right. And if you've got a religion that's spiritual, Dwayne, then a Jew and a Catholic and a Muslim can hold hands.
Well, let's talk about some of the signs here of religious addiction. Now, one of the things that you mentioned is this expectation in the minds of the true believer that God will do something to their life, that God will perform a miracle if they pray hard enough, give enough money, and whatever, that, they will be healed of their infirmities, their financial situation will improve, and that sort of thing. You mentioned the movie Shadowlands, and there's a great scene in there where he says, I don't pray, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't pray because I believe God will change things, but I pray because God will change me, meaning his response to whatever infirmities or situations will present itself.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about some of the signs of religious addiction.
Well, I think you've mentioned them very well, and that is that, it's the idea of a pawn, as opposed to, if you like, being a knight, if you play chess. Some people see themselves as pawns, not as kings. They see themselves as victims. Life deals out.
And you'll notice that that's a big part of the Satanic Temple, is basically promoting professional victimization and promoting this concept of the LGBTQIAP plus movement and things like that. And it's taking advantage of people that see themselves as professional victims.
As pawns, not as kings. They see themselves as victims. Life deals out certain things to them. They don't. Many of them don't realize just how Hindu they are. They think they're Christian, but they're really very Hindu. Because Hindus believe that their life is predetermined by the gods, and that everything in it happens because of the gods. A form of predestination. Many Christians seem to, although they wouldn't say they were Hindu, they seem to believe that if you get well from an illness, it's because God did it. The day he over.
So one of the concepts spoken about by Anton LaVey is a sort of post-racial eugenics, which is very similar to Jose Vasconcelos's concepts. And I agree with these things, but I don't believe that, and I actually did a video, I think it's called A Satanic Ethnicity is the Cosmic Race. I believe that's the title of the video. Look it up. Actually, I might look it up after this and just play it. So, claiming that social Darwinist and racialist ideologies are only created to validate, explain, and justify ethnic superiority and repress blah, blah, blah. I disagree with that, but Vasconcelos attempts to refute these theories, blah, 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 blah. Critiques. Vasconcelos wrote, some people call him a racist. I would recommend that people read the book, The Cosmic Race, and they will see that it does coincide with the idea of an amalgamation. So he's expressed the ideology of a future fifth race in the Americas, okay, in the world with no respect to color or number to erect a new civilization, okay? And the book was written by Jose Vasconcelos, This gentleman here, he was a candidate for president, okay, of the Mexican Revolution, was an important Mexican writer, philosopher, and politician. He is one of the most influential and controversial personalities in the development of modern Mexico. His philosophy of the cosmic race affected all aspects of Mexican sociocultural, political, and economic stuff here. Early life, private life, Mexican Revolution, sectarian later life, philosophical thought. Vasconcelos' first writings on philosophy are passionate reactions against the formal positivistic education. Now, I disagree with that. I am a strong biological positivist. Okay, now, influence. Vasconcelos is influenced by modern mestizo people. Again, read The Cosmic Race. You will see the same concepts promoted by Anton LaVey in regards to the concept of a satanic ethnicity are the same concepts promoted by Jose Vasconcelos in his concept of a cosmic race. Moving forward. So this is Uvolution.com. This is a clearinghouse for transhumanist ideas. Now, one of the things that I want you to understand is one of the best alternatives to Satanism, I believe, is the philosophy of Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. So Pierre Teilhard de Chardin basically showed how essentially Christianity was the evolution from paganism into a monotheistic religion, and he believed Christianity would evolve further into a pantheistic religion. I believe people should read Pierre Teilhard de Chardin's book, The Phenomenon of Man. Moving on. So this is the Mormon Transhumanist Society, or Mormon Transhumanist Association. And what I like about this is it really does allow one to learn about transhumanism very well. Now, transhumanism is essentially the application of technology to eliminate human suffering. Core text, the Constitution, this is their Constitution, Declaration, and Affirmation. So let's see here. So, Article 1, the name of this organization shall be the more blah, 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 legal, Let's see here. Affirmation, media coverage. Purpose. Declaration, exponential change, humanity's future, religious transhumanism, core text, Constitution, What is the purpose of the the Mormon Transhumanist Association approaches the pursuit and the goals of both transhumanism, blah, 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 purpose, obviously you can ignore the Mormon stuff. Discipleship, our commitment to seeking and acknowledging truth from any and all sources, our pursuit of the exaltation of all people in a manner that honors their agency, our embrace of scientific knowledge and technological power as essential tools for the pursuit of these goals. Note the wording carefully. These tools are among the means ordained by God, or ordained of God, but they are not the only means. Other essential ingredients include Christ-like compassion and service, commitment, person filled with moving on. So folks are probably sick and tired of me talking about the 8 laws of health, right? But the thing is, if you're going to embrace a carnal religion, such as Satanism claims to be, but is really just a cerebral it's a mental masturbatory orgy, you might need to embrace 8 laws of health. Now, you could blow all your dough on sacred texts of the Temple of the Vampire. I've bought a number of them. I've read them. Or you could just go to, a Seventh-day Adventist website and look up the 8 laws of health. Nutrition. One's daily eating choices have a significant impact on their health to provide the body with... Now, why, again, the 8 Adventist laws of health were observations made by Ellen G. White and other Adventists. Ellen G. White, Jethro Kloss, John Harvey Kellogg, and other people, Paul Bragg, and they implemented these things, and they synthesized a recipe to create centenarians, and it worked. And now you have the blue zones proving not only that the Adventists' idea worked, but that the other centenarians, unlike the Adventists who synthesized and engineered a recipe for centenarianism, people that became 100, unlike the other centenarians from Sardinia, Okinawa, etc., the Adventists synthesized their thing, whereas the other ones came across theirs by dumb luck. Okay, whereas the Adventists, through observation, created a recipe to live longer, and it worked. Okay, so if you're going to embrace carnality and embrace life and live life to its fullest, the first thing you must do is be alive. And the second thing you must do is be healthy and thrive. So you need to understand that nutrition is important, exercise is important, hydration and hygiene is important, sunlight is important, being temperate in your actions is important, and avoiding things that will kill you is important, fresh air is important, rest and relaxation is important, trust is important. Okay, now these things you have to understand if you want to live a long and healthy life. And I believe that the 8 laws of health, along with yoga and things like that, are a fine substitute for Satanism. Now, people will disagree with me and tell me I'm crazy and yada, 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 yada. I don't care. If they want to remain Satanists, they can. My goal is to explain to people there are alternatives. A couple fine alternatives that I will not leave links to because I like my videos to stay up are cosmotheism. And you can Google that word, cosmotheism, and the creativity movement, which I believe are fine examples of 2 very good examples of something to act as a very healthy alternative to Satanism. Now, as I said, if you're not nihilistic, such as many Satanists are nihilistic pantheists if you read the Satanic Bible and understand the aspect, wanted God dead or alive, or I should say at least Satanists used to be nihilistic pantheists. Now Satanists are out of control hedonists, most likely, or most of the time. So I may very much so start to codify my religious beliefs as LaVey did his, just as to create a genuine alternative to Satanism. I've never done so because I don't really see myself as some sort of religious leader or anything like that, but everybody else is doing it, why not join in? But I'm not one for a structured religion, and I adhere to scientific pantheism. So, do you feel a deep sense of peace, belonging, and gratitude in nature? Are you blown away by the clear night sky, blah, blah, blah? Why scientific pantheism might be right for you? One of the few forms of spirituality in which nature plays a central part. We relate closely to some of the central challenges of our era, blah, blah, blah. Scientific pantheism is the only form of spirituality we know of which fully embraces science. Scientific pantheism has a joyous affirmation approach to life. Scientific pantheism moves beyond God and defines itself by positives. This is pantheism in theory and practice. Basic principles of pantheism: reverence for nature, celebration of our lives in our bodies, respect and active care for the rights of all humans and other living beings, promotion of non-discrimination, religious tolerance, freedom from religion, and complete separation of church and state. Okay? Realism, belief in a real, objective, external world that really exists, independent of whether you exist or not. The objective world really does exist. It's real. It's not subjective, it's objective, and it's real. Strong naturalism without belief. Okay, there's no need to believe in nature. It's there. Respect for reason, evidence, and the scientific method. Okay? Now, if you are interested in pantheism, I would also strongly recommend reading the works of the New England Transcendentalists. Okay, transcendentalism is one of the first philosophical currents that emerged in the United States. Blah, 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 blah. Origin. Transcendentalism is closely related to Unitarianism, a religious movement in Boston, yada, yada, yada. Transcendentalist Club, second wave okay, beliefs. Transcendentalists are strong believers in the power of the individual, okay? And I believe that scientific pantheism, and in particular, New England transcendentalism, is a fine alternative to Satanism. Their beliefs are closely linked with those of the Romantics. Transcendentalists desire to ground their religion and philosophy in the principles based upon German Romanticism, yada, yada, yada. So they believe in individualism. They have influenced by the Indian religions. They believe in idealism, the importance of nature, influence on other movements. They have influenced various other movements. And I strongly recommend people read the works, especially of Emerson, of Ralph Waldo Emerson. I would highly recommend people read his works. I would also recommend people read the works of Wallace Wattles. And what's his face? Ralph Waldo Emerson. Wallace Wattles and Ralph Waldo Emerson, particularly Ralph Waldo Emerson, I see as the most important if you wish to explore New England transcendentalism along with scientific pantheism. And that's all for this video series.